How to use the 2023 recession to get rich. The American economy has been suffering a great slump in recent years, but despite these problems, people could use this crisis to become rich. After the great crisis of COVID-19, the world economy has seen how the economic and social crisis has risen month after month, and it is something that took the Americans by surprise, since they did not imagine that inflation could be even worse than what it already was. In this video, to give some hope to the matter, we will see how the recession of 2023 could be used to make you rich. What methods can you use? What tools can you do it with? You will see it in seconds. Before starting the video, I invite you to leave a like and subscribe to my channel to see more content like this. Without further ado, let's start with the video. In America, we have witnessed many historic crises, and perhaps the strongest was the one that occurred in 2007 and 2008, which paralyzed an entire country and left thousands of families on the streets. Basic things like cheap rent and essential services, something luxurious, something impossible to achieve effectively, not to mention that if you want to rent in central cities like New York, it's basically impossible, because even the most expensive apartment costs hundreds of dollars. We have seen on the news that many companies are taking steps to prevent difficult times ahead in the near future. Some businesses are cutting costs while others are closing their doors, and millions of people are losing their jobs around the world. According to Ray Dalio, who is one of the greatest hedge fund management ever, a new catastrophe is on the horizon. The economy is collapsing. But let's be honest, nothing can be achieved by sitting idly by without making a move, for the reason that always, in any crisis, there is a need that we can fill, because the world keeps turning, and if we are smart, we can take advantage of the matter, without malice, only with work and effort. First of all, we must establish an important point, and that is to know what exactly is the recession. A recession is a decrease in economic activity over a period of time. Generally, a recession is considered to exist when the rate of change in GDP is negative for 2 consecutive quarters. The task of this video is to know how to fight back against this crisis and not lose out. Humanity is living through one of the worst economic crises in recent history. But there is a quote that says, "In the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity." Albert Einstein. Historically in the United States, many masterminds have found certain needs that society had, and they were able to carry them out in order to obtain millions of dollars. Henry Ford with the automobile industry, Thomas Alva Edison with electricity, and Andrew Carnegie with the steel industry, among a long list of millionaires who made their wealth by solving problems that no one had thought of as they had done up to now. Even in the midst of the worst crises, these people carried out their project. Even in the past few decades, we've seen figures like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Mark Zuckerberg perform the same feat with the high-tech world. We are in times of change, and fortunately these times brought millions of facilities that the world lacked before, technology at our fingertips, and the possibility of investing with little money, and losing little money in the same way. We can try and fail as many times as we want, because the investment is usually minimal in some digital projects. One of the things that people pay least attention to in the face of an impending recession is that they tend to avoid investing in stocks, because it might not be the best time in the market to make that decision. But in fact, that is not what the rich do, since they tend to buy more when the shares are at a lower price in the market. After every bear market comes a bull market, as Yahoo Finance points out. Historically, the S&P 500 has fallen an average of 29% around a recession, with an average drop of 24%. But once stocks have hit their bottom, their average return the following year is 40%. In the next 2 years, the market has increased an average of 58%. This means that investing in the decline is much more profitable than withdrawing from the market. Also, since the investment in these shares is lower, the possible loss would be less painful than when the shares are at a high price. In some cases, come to think of it, it could be a win-win. According to Investopedia, index funds and dividend stocks are between the best and least expensive financial instrument to hold during financial crisis. Dividend stocks create passive income when public companies generate profit, and some portion of this profit is paid to investor in the form of dividends. While index funds are exchange-traded funds that are easy to buy, have low fees, and very often perform very well. Another investment that could be considered passive but also highly active is the production of audio-visual content. YouTube has been having massive success for years, attracting audiences relatively easily, as long as topics that attract attention are discussed. As I have mentioned before, investment today is very cheap, or at least it is incredibly cheaper than it was 2 decades ago. You just have to invest in basic recording equipment, and have a clear idea about the content to be made. If it doesn't work out, you'll lose a few dollars, but nothing dramatic. But if it goes right, the profit could be in the millions of dollars. If you have been on the internet for some time, you will know that this is where business is done, and that a scheme of working 8 hours or more for a fixed salary that does not reflect all the work done is no longer very profitable. That is why that sometimes it is necessary to be our own boss. Obviously, it is not an easy process, it is not for everyone, and of course you will have to work and study the platform to be able to use it in your favor. And just as I am referring to YouTube, I can also talk about other online areas such as digital marketing, arbitration, investment with cryptocurrencies, among other practices that have become a full-time job for many people, and that, at least, you should take a look at. Look to know how you could succeed in the world of the internet. If you are not interested in being your own boss, or starting a small business yourself because it is something that simply does not suit you, you can choose to use all your knowledge and studies to enter a company. I know, why would a company in a time of crisis start hiring new staff? It just doesn't make sense. Well, I give you good news, this is not so. Recessions are the times when companies begin to reduce their workforce, removing the weak to keep the most competent at work. That is why, on the one hand, you have a good chance of entering a company which, by laying off so many staff, could have a place for you. In this way, there may be less competition so that you can enter that company with your knowledge. Large companies like Facebook and Twitter are suffering from high attrition and layoffs, and these companies are an example that I give you so you can take advantage and take a look to see if there are any vacancies available. But whether on the one hand you want to work alone or for a company, you must also diversify your money. Keep in mind that only depending on monetary input, which in general is always fixed and never goes up or down, as is the case with conventional jobs, in this type of recession it will be a big problem for you just to depend on that simple strategy. That is why I advise you to have multiple monetary inputs, and this will be possible by having multiple investments resorting to asset diversification. An example could be having only your work salary, but also investing in cryptocurrencies, investing in making content on YouTube or other platforms, investing in the stock market and shares, etc. Not just having a single entry, because at the end of the month you will always get the same number, and maybe even double the effort to always get the same result. That scheme in our modern society simply does not make sense, especially for someone young with potential knowledge of the internet world. There are hundreds of additional ways to invest. You can also try offering your services on platforms like Upwork or Fiverr. For example, if you have experience in graphic design or have a good hand with video editing, you can offer these services to clients. And in just a few months you will have a good amount of money through a passive investment, which with time and if you have more earnings from this than from your main job, you could turn it into a full-time job. The benefit of this type of work is that by not being forced to work fixed hours, 8 or 12 hours, you can have plenty of time to diversify into many other things. In a while, say a year or two, you might strike a lucky break and become rich. One last way to face the recession that is coming in 2023 is one that I mentioned to you at the beginning, and that is to find the needs that society might have. People like Steve Jobs and his partners have found and solved needs that even at that time society had never considered. The idea of improving our lives through the use of modern computers and other incredible technologies. That has presented a gain that not only Steve has enjoyed, but thousands of families will be able to enjoy. You can take advantage of a need that people could solve, but they don't know yet. It can be both a new technological tool, among countless ideas. We can see in the news many tech startups making millions of dollars by inventing a new tech product. Obviously, a person with a fixed salary does not have the tools to do something similar. But a new invention might not necessarily be something technological, since, as I mentioned, it can be a solution to everyday problems. There are many ways to face the economic recession of 2023, and I have given you some possible solutions to not only face it, but you could become rich with effort, discipline, and perseverance. Put some of the advice I've given you into action, and then leave me a comment if it worked for you. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel to see more similar videos and activate the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you when we upload a new video. We upload videos every week, don't miss it. You will not regret it.